Welcome to Monday on the AM show. My name is Benjamin Akakpo, and of course I do this always with Bernice Abubedu Lanza. From us to you, we love you, we're grateful for your time. It's the best way to start the week, and we're starting it right on the AM show. Well, coming up this morning, right after the news, we'll be joined for the news review by Executive Director, Media Foundation for West Africa, Suleimana Brahima. He'll be joining us as we slice and dice the newspapers. But right from there, two crucial issues we're going to be contemplating this morning. The first has to do with our independent power producers. It's been a number of years. Debt has accumulated. The point is, we've not been able to settle our debts, and now just to stay afloat, these independent power producers will need some $450 million. Now, Ghana's government is seeking to restructure some $1.3 billion of that debt. But how will things pan out? The independent power producers have threatened in the past that if push doesn't come to shove, if something is not done immediately, they may have to withdraw some services. Well, we'll be joined by some energy experts on that conversation to find out what the temperature is, what government is doing vis-a-vis the needs of these independent power producers in terms of staying afloat. That's our first conversation. But then from there, we talk about something crucial. Today marks World Day Against Child Labor. We contemplate the situation in Ghana, child laborers, what the situation is, and the dynamic of social justice, how we have failed, what we are doing now, and what we can do. We'll be joined by our guests on that conversation as we mark World Day Against Child Labor. Today being a Monday, we have another installment of Drive Safe coming your way so that all of us learn how to drive safe. You may know how to drive, but there are many things that you and I do not know. I'll be sharing that with you on Drive Safe. That's what the show looks like this morning, so stick and stay. We'll serve you the news up next.
A fifth of the babies who come in will end up dying.
This is impactful journalism, the storytelling that stretches your imagination and shines a light on the underreported issues.
Normally, if you talk, that is change people. Let them see it.
This is impactful journalism. It is fearless, independent journalism that reshapes thoughts and crushes stereotypes.
But I had no more strength in me again. The person must be made to know that what you have done, yes, it would have deserved murder.
This is impactful journalism. It provides context and meaning to the different perspectives.
Children are born with sin, and therefore if you don't baptize them and they die as children, then they will go to hell. This is funny.
This is impactful journalism. It provides context and meaning to the different perspectives. This is Joy News Hotline Documentaries, compelling stories changing the status quo.
stories. That's what we tell each other every day. At Joy News, we tell your story. You have a story the world should know about? Tell it to Joy News. We are your home of bold, credible, and fearless journalism. I am Emefa Apau.
And starting this June on Joy News, we connect you to the rest of the continent on Connect Africa with me, Blessed Soga. The issue about loss and damage reparations. How is the West receiving such a call from especially African leaders?
You know, the losses are actually being borne by African.
I will be here live from the Joy News studio speaking to our affiliates and correspondents from across Africa with news, analysis, interviews and conversations from the rest of the continent.
If you look at successive opinion polls, Peter Obi seems to be leading. So the question is, if the insecurity causes a low voter turnout, would it impact on the fortunes of the candidate?
Join us on Connect Africa on the Joy News channel.
Hi there. On the 23rd of June, the 10 finalists of the Joy News Impact Makers Awards will be celebrated. I can't wait to know who will receive the ultimate honor as Joy News Impact Maker 2023. I know you also want to know, so join Evans and I as we bring you a live coverage of the event from 7 p.m. It will be a night of bliss as we celebrate greatness, volunteerism, and impact. Joy News, independent, fearless, and credible.
Joy News Impact Makers Awards is sponsored by KGL Foundation, empowering lives, changing communities, and Gold Key Properties, building prestige since 1997.
Welcome to the AM News. We get into our very first story now. And an alleged Galamsey gunfight at the Atiwa forest is said to have resulted in the death of one person. Sources say the illegal miners had picked up a fight, resulting in the unfortunate incident that happened Saturday evening. The Chibi police and the chief of Sijimase, where the victim is believed to be domiciled, have retrieved the body from the forest reserve. We give you more details in our subsequent bulletins.
According to the church, it is good to plant the trees and nurture them to grow, but it is equally good to ensure that existing forest cover is not depleted. Speaking at this year's Green Ghana Day at Cornelia Corneli School in Cape Coast, the Director of Caritas and Socio-Economic Development at the Archdiocese of Cape Coast, Reverend Father Stephen Amwajesi, entreated government to enforce the country's laws on illegal mining and illegal logging of trees.
And as we are even planting today, there are people in the forest trying to destroy the forest. So I don't know. So I am pleading with the government, with the stakeholders. Please, let us do the best thing we can to make sure that what we are doing is not destroyed the next day. And we do that by making sure that the laws are working. All those supposed to be given the necessary tools to protect our forest, they are given the necessary tools. Or else it becomes a show. But we don't want to be part of a show. We want to be part of a long-lasting project that will have effect on the yet unborn generations.
He also called on government to pay the youth employment workers that work with the Forestry Commission.
But as much as Christians, we want to be part of this all-important project, we also want to encourage the government. From my own investigations, I've realized that those who are employed from the Youth Employment Project and then sent to the Forestry Department, they have not been paid for months, which is very sad. Very sad, because these are the young ones who actually nurse the trees for us to plant. And so if you don't pay them, it becomes a big disincentive for the continuity of this project.
Operations Manager of the Plantations of the Forestry Commission, Daniel Donko, says the commission is targeting both on and off reserves and pleaded with everyone to take part in the tree planting exercise beyond the day set aside.
The place that we planted last year won't be necessarily the same place that we are going to plant, because we are extending and expanding our tentacles to capture places where we experience deforestation and land degradation. If we've been advised to plant trees which will enhance our environment, give out food, give out medicine, and also help rains that sometimes when the rain falls, we see flooding everywhere, because we've taken our trees away. Because where we are supposed to plant trees, we paved the pavement everywhere. And the rain that come have nowhere to go down, serve as erosion, get into the drains, and then flood our communities. And then we also look onto the government to help us through NADMO and other things.
Let's head to the Upper East region now, where a commercial vehicle traveling to Boku has been attacked by armed men at Binduri in the Upper East region. The armed men opened fire on the vehicle, killing the driver and injuring several passengers. From the 5th of September 2022 to the 8th of February 2023, over 29 people have reportedly been killed by armed men in 12 separate incidents on the Pusiga, Bintri, Sabongari, Bunkpurugu, Walewale Boku and Boku Senkasi roads in the Upper East and Northeast regions. Our sources within the police service say the armed men mounted a roadblock and were carrying out identity checks on passengers. This incident comes a day after a renewed disturbance in Boku, which has reportedly led to the death of 2 young men. We move on now to our next story, and former National Security Advisor Francis Boku says the absence of good governance, the judicious use of resources, and fair electoral issues, among others, could create dissatisfaction among the people, thereby opening the door for radicals and violent extremists to exploit the situation. Speaking at a dialogue by the National Catholic Secretariat in Sunyani, the former National Security Advisor stressed the need for a conscious effort to be made for the country to be protected. Precious Semoville has more in this report.
The regional dialogue in Sunyani was organized by the National Catholic Secretariat of the Ghana Catholic Bishops' Conference, funded by the Catholic Relief Services. The Sahel Peace Initiative had stakeholders including the Peace Council, political parties, religious leaders, youth leaders, and security agencies to raise awareness about conflicts in Ghana that have the potential of providing fertile grounds for violent extremism, and also provide the platform to advocate for positive change. Most Reverend Matthew Kwesi Jemfi is the Bishop of Sunyani and President of the conference.
We seek to enhance our understanding of the trending conflict issues and how they create fertile grounds for violent extremist infiltration. By delving deep into the root causes of these conflicts, we can develop effective strategies to counteract their detrimental effects. Secondly, we aim to emphasize the role of alternative dispute resolution in safeguarding social cohesion.
Bono Regional Minister Justina Osubanahini urged stakeholders to be vigilant of signs that could potentially lead to instability in the border region. She expressed worry over the high number of chieftaincy disputes.
The Bono region's proximity to Côte d'Ivoire, with porous borders, adds to the potential challenges in managing the situation. There are 25 unresolved chieftaincy disputes currently before the Bono Regional House of Chiefs Judicial Committee, with 10 being at the paramountcy level. This has been a challenge to the Regional House of Chiefs in terms of trying to find amicable solutions to these disputes, and has also been a constant worry for the Regional Security Council, which role is to ensure the peace and stability of our dear region.
Former National Security Advisor Francis Boku, speaking on the theme, Trending Conflicts in Ghana, Fertile Grounds for Violent Extremism, a call for action, said concerns such as good governance should be important to governments to ensure agitators are not exploited by radicals and violent extremists to destabilize the nation.
It's not enough for security services to protect the nation against violence and subversion, but there is an area of good governance to ensure that these grievances do not persist in a country, and that is the best protection against terrorist violence. So with regime protection must go good governance, and all governments have a duty for the purpose of stability to ensure that there is good governance. If there's no good governance, you create unemployment, you create dissatisfaction, you have groups that are disaffected, you have groups that feel that they are not part and parcel of society. And if you go to areas where government development has not reached, they are also easy targets because they feel that they are not part of society, and they will embrace any groups that come with offers of violence.
Precious Semevo, Joy News, Sunyai.
In our next story, Ghana is in the process of building its first nuclear power plant as part of measures to implement its energy transition framework. The framework is expected to create 1,405,000 job opportunities due to the introduction of new technologies. It is also expected to lead to a 30.05 million productive hour gain due to the upscale adoption of clean cooking fuels. According to experts, this would have significant impact on women and children who are the main gatherers of firewood. Samuel Kojo-Brace reports.
Ghana's energy transition policy is a long-term framework that guarantees the best fuel supply security due to a diversified fuel mix, including natural gas and nuclear energy. But little is known about the framework. A CSO platform, CASA Initiative, has thus organized a forum to sensitize CSOs in the natural resource and environment sectors on Ghana's energy transition framework. Dr. Robert Sogbaji, the Deputy Director of Nuclear and Alternative Energy at the Ministry of Energy, explains the primary goal of the policy.
Now, the energy transition is to make sure that we reduce our greenhouse gas emissions in the energy sector globally, because we realize that the energy sector is one of the sectors that is causing greenhouse gas emissions and which is causing climate change in terms of flooding, in terms of droughts, in terms of all the anything that affects through climate change. So we realize that if we decarbonize the energy sector, we are going to significantly reduce the effect of climate change in the world.
He explains how Ghana intends to achieve the strategies in its energy transition.
By making sure that we increase our renewable energy penetration, we also introduce other technologies such as nuclear energy, also carbon capture technology for our gas plants, because gas is a transition fuel in Ghana, and various other systems that we are implementing in the country to make sure that we achieve clean energy sector in Ghana.
Dr. Sogbaji reviewed that plans are far advanced to build Ghana's first nuclear power plant.
We want to establish our nuclear power. Latest by 2030, 2032, we should be able to have our first nuclear power plant in the energy mix. And this is going to serve as a base load energy to support our thermal plants from gas and our hydro. Because as of now, we've exhausted all our large hydros. And our mini hydros, if we even dam all of them, we may not get about up to 2 gigawatts. So we need another base load, clean energy base load, and nuclear comes in as a clean base load.
CSOs want government to do more to help citizens to keep an eye on key milestones set in the framework. John Goka is National Coordinator of CASA Initiative.
Especially the subsector levels, when we come to the community levels that are supposed to play a key role in supporting this implementation. How are we driving the process of awareness at the community level? Issues of clean cook stoves. How are communities accepting this model, and how are they seeing it as part of the framework? How these linkages need to be well strengthened within the community level so that we know this is the path that government is taking to achieve clean energy and let's say a transitioned economy at the end of the day. It's a long-term plan from 2022 to 2070. So along the way, we need to be updating ourselves on the processes that have unfolded so far.
One of the most important milestones of the framework is its capacity to minimize energy-related indoor air pollution and its related illnesses, estimated at saving 48,218 babies from dying through premature death due to improvement in air quality and health.
Now, in our next story, the program's manager for the National Tuberculosis Control Program, Dr. Yao Eduse Poku, has revealed that the number of tuberculosis cases in Ghana is expected to increase if action is not taken to tackle the disease. Speaking at a sensitization program for journalists on TB reporting, Dr. Eduse Poku said about 30 persons died of TB daily in Ghana, and over 120 others fell ill of the disease daily. There is more in this report.
A total of 16,650 cases of tuberculosis were detected in Ghana last year, an increase of 20% of the 13,278 cases detected in 2021. However, there are fears the number will surge further in 2023 if actions are not taken to curb the situation. Speaking at a sensitization program jointly organized by the National Tuberculosis Control Program, Hope for the Future, and other stakeholders in the fight against TB, Programs Manager for the National TB Control Program, Dr. Yao Eduse Poku, said actions need to be taken to fight the disease.
So we are saying that every day, about 30 people in Ghana die of TB. 125 persons fall ill of TB. So why are we where we are? Last year, for instance, we got 20% more of our cases. That is 16,650. It is possible that due to a lot of strategies we are putting into place, there will be more cases coming. So the issue is, why are we where we are? Awareness. We need to create a lot of awareness. That comes with resources. So it's all about making sure that we have a lot of gene experts, which is now the current state-of-the-art machine for diagnosing tuberculosis. We need to have more of the x-rays in all the district hospitals. That will create access. Okay, we need to talk about, just like I've indicated, talk a lot, create awareness also for the disease.
The Executive Director of Hope for the Future Foundation, Cecilia Senu, also called on government to show more commitment in investing towards the fight against TB and other diseases.
Today also we are preparing the media to support us to ensure Ghana participates in the UN high-level meeting. There are a number of things that is happening, and they are going to sign a commitment to support TB. We want to engage the President, one, to participate in that UN high-level meeting on TB, and also sign on the commitment to invest in TB. We have the 6 A's that we presented today, and these are the things that we want the President of Ghana and all the Ghanaians to advocate for our President, not just to sign or not just to commit, but invest money into TB, HIV and malaria. We need to end all these diseases by 2030. Also, the government has pledged $2 million to support the Global Fund to end TB, HIV and malaria during the 7th replenishment. The $2 million, we are so grateful. civil society is happy, government, everybody is happy that our president and our government pledged $2 million to Global Fund to support TB, HIV, and malaria. We want to see that this $2 million is actually turning to cash to the Global Fund to invest in TB, HIV, and malaria in developing countries, including Ghana.
The sensitization workshop was aimed at educating journalists from selected media houses on the causes, symptoms, and transmission mode of TB. They were taken through TB reporting guidelines, ethical consideration in reporting on TB, guidelines for interviewing TB patients and healthcare professionals. A report by Prince Kudoga for Joy News.
Let's stay on health. A professor of epidemiology at the University of Health and Allied Sciences, Professor Fred Binka, has shot down the implementation of the Agenda 111 policy as a measure of preparing for a pandemic. According to him, the construction of 111 district health facilities is not feasible, indicating the projects would only increase the number of incompetent or uncompleted government structures due to a lack of funding. He was speaking at the University of Health and Allied Sciences Send Ghana Health Advocacy Incubator Symposium on Public Health Emergency Funding.
One of the two critical things that we took out from the COVID was that there were not enough health facilities across the country. So we rightly started what is called Agenda 111 to increase health infrastructure. Okay? 111 hospitals. Goodness. That's a great idea. But why couldn't we just say, okay, this year we'll build 20, next year 20, till we get to what? 111. So far, we haven't built any. Okay? When is the first one going to finish? So we've just gone on a tangent. The truth of the matter is that the Agenda 111 will have many uncompleted structures in the bush at the end of the day. That's the truth. You all know it. I've not seen the budget for the equipment. Building brick and mortar is not a hospital. If you can't find money to build a brick and mortar, how are you going to fund the equipment? Number two, have you made preparations for the human resource that make the hospital function? As of yesterday, I had 6,000 nurses have gone to real greener pastures, and more will follow. 6,000. This is not a joke. So we got 100 million to start up the Agenda 111. Look, sometimes I'm not sure how these things work, but at the last count, we were told that the Agenda 111 would cost almost $1 billion. When you get 100 million, you don't start to build 111. You have to face it in. Or now you have started 111 hospitals all over the place. Have you got the 900 million? Now we are to IMF. Big IMF comes and says, I'm sorry, you can't be investing in capital expenditure when you can't find money to pay your salaries of your workers. Or you can't give textbooks to your school people. I don't want to get into that politics.
Now, to cap off the news, the Urban Roads Department in the Ashanti region has started patching potholes at Boku and Oforikrom, two communities featured in the Joy News Ghana Potholes exhibition. The Oforikrom and Boku road networks are riddled with deep circular depressions as motorists experience vehicular damage that goes beyond mechanical repair. Love FM's Nanabwachi Dankwayadom, who first reported the danger and the inconvenience of plying the roads, goes back to assess the rate of patching.
The Oforikrom and Boku road networks were inundated with several deadly potholes, which leaves motorists and commuters at risk. Some road users describe the impoverished potholes as life-threatening pits.
Almost 3 months, number 2 accidents.
I came across an accident almost a month ago. As the government institutions make efforts to patch the holes, some concerned residents fill the riddled bitumen with debris to lessen the impact of vehicles slumping into holes. Sometimes they attempt to fill these holes with coconut husk. Joy News' Ghana Potholes exhibition exposed the atrocious state of the Kumasi, Oforikrom and Boku roads. But the Department of Urban Roads has begun patching up these potholes. Some motorists using these roads expressed their gratitude.
Kakra mekane say yedamase ese Joy News de bia ehwemo ne enim adwuma so amoye tie kan say I
want to say thank you to Joy News for the work you've been doing. We watch you and know everything you've been doing because these potholes have been here for over a year now. We only woke up to see them patching them this morning.
Joy News ena motumi abom modena aban yesi adwuma we dia de kan say Yankopon hyira mo no modwuma no enye nkoso
ye bebetumi adamase we
say thank you so much for helping us get our road fixed. We thank you so much.
Aboa ma yeso no ye kwan no ayeye ama ye ntino yesra mo ye damase monkoso ana mo ye den momo aye na sisia no de ejo no de eden pa.
Now, potholes patching began in Kumasi after Joy News' intensive campaign on the poor state of our roads. You can see that the contractors are on site, patching up every single pothole here in the Oforikrom municipality. For Joy News, my name is Nana Boache Dankwayadom.
Well, that is the note on which we cap off the news. Of course, Joy News always getting results. But do stay with us. We'll bring you more results as we get into the newspapers. We'll be right back.